How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the Hungry Guy Cooking. This is my first video on the channel, so I'm really excited about it. Today, I'll be testing the Banoffee Pie recipe from Babish Culinary Universe. I only ever had Banoffee Pie from the store, but I always loved it, so I'm really excited to make it fresh and blow my mind with how good it will be. Let's get into it and give it a try.
Let's take a look at the ingredients we need. Some bananas, double cream, condensed milk, vanilla extract. I am actually using vanilla paste with beans inside rather than the extract itself, as I find it gives a more intense vanilla flavor. Some unsalted butter, baking powder, whole wheat flour, salt, powdered sugar, cocoa powder, and some whole milk. You can actually reduce the ingredients you need by half if you buy the digestive biscuits rather than making them yourselves, so keep that in mind. We will start off by making Dolce De Leche. I was actually blown away by how simple it is to make and always thought that there is a complicated process behind it. In actuality, all you have to do is simmer a can of condensed milk for 3.5 hours and boom, you have Dolce De Leche. You have to make sure that it cools down before you open it or it can burst right in your face, according to Babish, but I haven't tested that theory and neither should you. Stay safe out there. It's also best to prepare it the day before you are making your Banoffee Pie due to the long cooking and cooling times. The next step is optional, but as I wanted to fully test Babish's recipe, I have also made the digestive biscuits, and this was actually the first time I ever made biscuits in my life. The process was very simple, and all you have to do is mix the dry ingredients in the food processor, then add the butter to create the breadcrumb texture, and finish it off with a splash of milk so it forms a dough. Then you have to let it rest for 30 minutes in the fridge before you work it, otherwise it will be too soft as the butter will start melting. The dough was very easy to work with after it firmed up in the fridge and I rolled it out and eyeballed the thickness. I was aiming for the thickness of regular digestives you can find in store. As I didn't have a cookie cutter, I used a glass to cut out my biscuits. So if you don't have a cookie cutter like me, just find any circular object that will make a decent sized biscuit. I made some tiny holes and baked them for 80 minutes at 350 Fahrenheit, 175 Celsius. I am not sure why, but mine came out darker than Babish's. I thought it might be due to the convection I have to use on my oven, so I reduced the temperature for the second batch down to 160 degrees Celsius, but they still came out darker. I think this might be due to the differences in the flour I used in comparison to Babish's. Anyway, they still came out great. They were crunchy and tasted like digestives, so it was a huge success. My only comment here would be that they were much sweeter than regular digestives, unless they are sweeter in the United States, as I am currently located in UK. Anyway, I was extremely happy with the first cookies I ever made. Next comes turning our cookies into the crust of the Banoffee Pie, and this was the most difficult step for me. I am not sure what happened, but I was unable to get the consistency that Babish got, and my base was much coarser. I think I messed up the blending process and I didn't blend the cookies long enough by themselves, and once I've added the butter, it was too late. I just continued adding cookies until I managed to blend it more. I then poured it into the pan, but I felt like I didn't have enough, so I added even more biscuits and even tried using a blender to get it to Babish's consistency, but it was too thick, so I used what I managed to create. I did have some store-bought digestives for the worst case scenario. I managed to form the crust and baked it for 7 minutes at 320 Fahrenheit, 160 Celsius. Again, I lowered the temperature because of the convection I have to use in my oven. I felt like the crust didn't brown enough after 7 minutes, so I popped it back in for another 5, baking it for a total of 12 minutes. I let it cool for 1 hour, and 30 minutes into the cooling time I started to heat up my Dolce De Leche in the water bath. I would advise you to start heating up Dolce De Leche as soon as you take out the crust from the oven, as 30 minutes wasn't long enough and it still had a thick consistency, but I managed to spread it out over my crust without issues. 10 minutes before the assembly time, I chopped up some bananas and prepped the whipped cream, and it finally came time to assemble. The crust firmed up nicely after cooling down, so I didn't have to bake a new one with the store-bought digestives. I just crossed my fingers and hoped for the best. The Dolce De Leche didn't look too appetizing when I poured it out of the can, but once it was spread out, it looked okay. Putting the Banoffee Pie together was very easy and straightforward. You just add your layers one by one and top it off with cocoa powder. Now came the most stressful part, where I had to take the pie out of the tin, and I was extremely worried due to the crust issues I had earlier. Luckily, the mission was a great success. I was extremely happy and so glad that I ended with a pie and not a mess on my worktop. When I cut into it, I felt that the crust was nice and crunchy and it looked great. Now it's time to give it a try.
So I think we can call it a success. We've got our lovely layers, our crust, our Dolce De Leche, our banana, and our whipped cream. So let's give it a try. I'm really excited. It smells amazing, much better than any store-bought version. The crust has a nice crunch to it. Oh my god. It is so much better. The crust is crispy, crunchy. Dolce De Leche is nice and rich and has much deeper flavors than the store-bought version. The bananas are fresh, which is already a huge plus, and the double cream is much stronger and much better. Overall verdict, I am very happy with it, and I think that you should go ahead and try it at home. You don't have to make the digestive biscuits as I did. Use store-bought version, just make it simple on yourself, because it does take ages, and with store-bought biscuits it would just be so much simpler for you. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you again next time. Bye for now.